Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm joined today by New Jersey Attorney General Matt Plackton, Colonel Pat Callahan, Superintendent of New Jersey State Police, Trenton Mayor Reed Gussiora, Trenton Police Director Steve Wilson, Pastor John Taylor, the Capital City Community Coalition, members of the Mercer County Homicide Task Force, Officers Jose Ocasio and Alan Reesner, Captain Tim Mosher, and EMT Paul Haddad of Trenton Emergency Medical Services. And we're also joined by Sequoia's mother, Sashay Bacon-Jones. Today we announced the arrest of Isiah Roberts, age 19, of the 1400 block of South Clinton Avenue in Trenton, New Jersey, for the murder of Sequoia Bacon-Jones, age 9, of Kingsbury Square. Roberts has been charged with murder, second-degree aggravated assault, fourth-degree aggravated assault for pointing a weapon, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, 3 counts, and unlawful possession of a weapon in the second degree. And we are also joined today by Assistant Prosecutor Mike Grillo, who will be handling this case, and the primary detective, Lou Vega. At 7:27 p.m. on March 25th, 2022, Trenton police officers were detailed to 4D Kingsbury Square on a report of shots fired. When they arrived at Kingsbury, Officer Jose Ocasio and Alan Reesner were in the immediate area and were the first to respond. When they arrived at Kingsbury, they observed Sequoia on the ground with an apparent gunshot wound and several citizens rendering aid, and Sequoia's mom was there too, also rendering aid. Officer Ocasio immediately rushed to Sequoia and took over providing aid and, perhaps more importantly, comfort. Officers Ocasio and Reesner then brought Sequoia to their police car to take her to Capitol Health. All this time, the officers were keeping Sequoia calm, continuing to comfort her, and continuing to render medical aid. Trenton Thames arrived on the scene and transferred Sequoia to their ambulance. Officer Ocasio stayed with Sequoia in the ambulance and continued to comfort her, while Captain Tim Mosher and EMT Paul Haddad, who are here today, continued to treat Sequoia. Officers Ocasio and Reasoner, along with Captain Mosher and EMT Haddad, gave Sequoia a fighting chance. Sequoia was immediately taken into surgery, where Dr. Dennis Quinlan was able to stabilize her. She had sustained a single gunshot wound to the upper body, and the wound was a through and through gunshot wound. Sequoia was then taken to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in New Brunswick, but regrettably, she passed away at 11:59 p.m. Sequoia, despite fighting bravely for her life, couldn't overcome those injuries. The Homicide Task Force began its investigation. The members of the Homicide Task Force are here. They began their investigation and learned that Sequoia and her brother were playing with other children in the courtyard area of the low-rises at Kingsbury. It was determined that two females were in a dispute over Facebook posts, and they went to the courtyard to fight. As the fight was taking place, an altercation ensued between Isiah Roberts and another male in the immediate area of the fight. Roberts and the male separated, but that altercation then made its way into the courtyard, where numerous shots were fired. Roberts then fled the area in an Acura, which was described by numerous residents of Kingsbury who called 911. Detectives conducted numerous interviews, reviewed countless hours of video, and they spent hours upon hours canvassing, re-canvassing, and just talking to and connecting with people. They pieced this case together, and at 11:45 yesterday morning, detectives from the Homicide Task Force located the Acura and initiated a motor vehicle stop on Dukes Avenue in Hamilton Township. As the vehicle pulled over and was pulling over before it came to a stop, Isiah Roberts exited the passenger side of the vehicle and fled on foot. Detectives from the Homicide Task Force engaged in a lengthy foot pursuit into a wooded area along Route 129. It was later learned that Roberts was fleeing Trenton to East Brunswick to hide from authorities. A dragnet was then cast over the area by the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Trenton Police Department, Mercer County Sheriff's Office, the New Jersey State Police, the Hamilton Police, and the New Jersey Transit Police. At 12:45 yesterday afternoon, Roberts was arrested as he entered the Delaware River just up here on Lamberton Road. It's often been said that it takes a village, and this case proves that to be true. Many area residents called 911, helped to care for Sequoia, provided information, and came forward to help detectives apprehend Roberts. And I'm compelled to highlight one of those concerned citizens. There was a resident of the low-rises who, when the shooting started, was able to get several of their children who were playing into her apartment and out of the line of fire. She's a hero. This case coming together between citizens and police are the best that Trenton has to offer. I don't say this enough, but from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the Mercer County Homicide Task Force. It was their dedication and laser focus on this case that brought Roberts to justice. The Homicide Task Force lived, breathed, ate, and slept with this case. Their compassion, hard work, and dedication are absolutely unmatched. They are the best of the best, and I am honored to work with them every day. While today hopefully brings some closure to Isiah and her family, I have to be very honest, I wish we weren't here. In a perfect world, Sequoia would be with us today. She would be in class at Parker School, and that tonight she would be in the courtyard playing with her friends. And Sequoia's mom and some of her family members are holding up pictures of Sequoia. And the one that's being held up over here was taken last weekend. It's Sequoia and her grandfather as she attended the father and daughter's dance here in the city of Trenton, which my office and the mayor helped to sponsor. If this isn't a call, and if this isn't the rallying point for this idiotic and senseless violence to stop, I don't know what is. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney General Matt Pike.
Thank you, Prosecutor, not only for your remarks, but for the work of this office on this case and every day in this city and across this county. There's no way to put it, this is a tragedy. Isiah, beautiful Sequoia family, you shouldn't be here. Isiah was 9 years old. So, excuse me, Sequoia was 9 years old. She was doing what 9-year-olds do. She was playing with her friends, her brother. She should not only be here, she should have had the things that 9-year-olds should have. She should have had class field trips, parties, proms, graduations. I'm told she wanted to be a law enforcement officer. Could have been any one of us. She could have had my job. This tragedy, this awful tragedy, needs to be a wake-up call. The violence cannot continue. We cannot continue to have press conferences like this one. The community, Trenton, and the state of New Jersey cannot continue to endure these horrors. Isiah, and to your whole family, know that the state of New Jersey stands with you. We are here for you. Mayor, Director, we're here for this community every day of the year, but particularly this day. The work that the Homicide Task Force did and that the officers did in giving Isiah the best chance at surviving this horrible incident is nothing short of heroic. When we talk about task forces, they can sound abstract. This is not abstract. The people behind me and next to me who worked all weekend, who are mothers and fathers themselves, who felt the pain and who brought the alleged perpetrator to justice, are doing heroic work. I wish they were out of business. The Attorney General's office, we are going to do and are doing everything we can to tackle the epidemic of gun violence. We're going to go at the root causes. We're going to hold those accountable who inject guns into our community. We're going to put programs in place and have put programs in place to interrupt the cycles of violence, through violence intervention programs and hospital-based violence intervention programs in our communities. And Trenton has been a tremendous partner in those efforts. And in the hopefully extremely rare instances when we have tragedies like this one, I want everybody to understand that there are teams of dedicated professionals, like the folks in this room, who are gonna work tirelessly to find the perpetrators, to bring them to justice, and to keep our communities safe. I wanna thank specifically Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Trenton Police Department, Director, Mercer County Sheriff's Office, West Windsor Police Department, and New Jersey State Police. I'm joined by my partner, Colonel Patrick Callahan, for the work that's done on this task force and that has been done over the past several days on one of, if not the most difficult cases they will ever see. The people in Trenton know that we stand with you. We will be providing resources, and we're here for you every day. Shay, I am so deeply sorry. She was a beautiful soul, and she won't be forgotten.
Colonel Pat Callahan.
Prosecutor. Good morning, everybody. I have the unfortunate position of receiving an email every time that there's a shooting in the state of New Jersey. And quite frankly, my phone goes off far too much, as it did late Friday. And when I saw that it was Sequoia, the first thing I did was pray for her mom and her family. And I got up the next morning, as I do every day, 7 days a week for the last 2 years, got on a prayer call with faith-based leaders from around this state. And we lifted her and you up, and have every day since. And a hush came over that phone. And I'm tired of praying for children that are shot while playing, quite frankly. I'm tired of looking at teddy bears and candles on sidewalks around cities around the state of New Jersey. And it's about time we take more action to make sure that it never happens again, so that moms like Shay don't have to endure this type of tragedy. The prosecutor called me and said, "Colonel, would you offer a couple words?" And my mind went immediately to the real-time crime center that we opened up last April. And I had all the stats of investigations and firearms seized and kilos of cocaine and fentanyl. And you know what? It didn't seem like right, because there's still much to do. Still so much to do, and that's been phenomenal work for the last year with the Homicide Task Force and all of our partners at that real-time crime center. But evidenced by the fact that we're all standing here today, it's still not enough. And law enforcement and community needs to come together. The public are the police, and the police are the public, and we need to understand that. And on the way down here, knowing that I wasn't going to read all stats, I thought of the name Sequoia. And if everybody in this room thinks about that, what is Sequoia? It's the largest, strongest rooted tree on the face of the earth. And the little I know about Sequoia, she had, there's one Sequoia that was known as the mother of the forest. And I think she had that. I think she had, at 9, understood that maternal instinct. And that's a special place to be. And she won't ever be forgotten for that. So just know that all of us in this room, all of your partners, certainly the state police included, will continue praying for you. We have the tools, we have the resources to make sure that we hold people like Isiah Roberts accountable. And that's our assurance and our guarantee for you. So we're not lighting candles and putting teddy bears on sidewalks throughout this state and throughout our country, quite frankly. It's up to us. It's our obligation. When all of us here raised our right hand and took that oath, it was to make sure that Sequoias were able to go out on a Friday night and play for a few hours, whether that was manhunt, tag, and then go home. That didn't happen this time, but it's up to each one of us to make sure that we protect the most innocent among us. You will always be in our prayers. God bless you.
Thanks, Colonel. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Pastor John Taylor from the Friendship Baptist Church and the president of the Capital City Community Coalition. Pastor Taylor called all of his fellow pastors Saturday evening and asked them on Sunday to pray for Sequoia and to encourage the members of their congregation to come forward. So Pastor Taylor, thank you for everything you did. Now I'd ask Mayor Reed Gussiori to say a few words.
Thank you, Angela. Today is a sad and angry day in the city of Trenton. It's sad because we lost an innocent child, and we're angry because of how senseless this has become, and all too common. I was just talking to Shay before here, and I was at the father-daughter dance, and when I walked in, Sequoia curtsied me. And I just remember what a sweet and innocent child she was. And when I was talking to Shay, she said that when she went home, she said that she met the mayor. And what a special little girl she was. We sent crisis counselors to Parker's school for the other children that were devastated by this loss. And Trenton is bleeding for Shay and for Sequoia, for her family, for her friends. And we can't let this happen any further. But it will continue. And what I want to do is thank the citizens of Trenton that stepped up to the plate. All too often, citizens don't want to get involved when a crime has occurred. But the hundreds of calls that the prosecutor's office fielded, and the Mercer County Homicide Task Force that fielded, they cooperated this time, and we caught the killer. But we all have to, in the future, continue to cooperate with the men and women in blue to solve these crimes and to put an end to them. The Real-Time Crime Center can solve the crimes, but it can't prevent them. Only the citizens of Trenton can prevent this further. And we want the citizens of Trenton to put down the guns, put down the violence, stop the bullying on social media, which started all this, and just try to meet their differences without having to resort to the violence that has occurred, that we lost this sweet little girl. Shay, we'll be with you, and we'll try to do what we can to help you further and pick up the pieces, and all the other children in Parker School and throughout Trenton. Our hearts bleed for you. God bless.
To say a few words, Trenton Police Director Steve Wilson, who was with us all weekend. He has been a great partner as the Trenton Police Director, and his support of the Homicide Task Force is unparalleled. Director Steve Wilson.
Thank you. I won't go into how this team did what they do, and they solved this horrible crime. You heard it from the prosecutor, you heard it from the general and the mayor. I want to elaborate a little bit more on what the mayor said. The community came forward and they helped. But even deeper than that, the mayor talked about social media bullying. Like many tragedies in the city of Trenton and other cities in New Jersey and across the nation, these events are precipitated by another incident. And while the phones are out, they're not calling 911. They record it because it's fun. They want to be on World Star and YouTube. Not until it's too late does the community come together. So I'm pleading with the citizens in Trenton to get involved and dial 911 before these things happen, so the police can get there before these things happen. I'm glad that they solved this crime, but I'm so angry because it could have been stopped. the police departments, the prosecutor's office, the state police, the sheriff's department. We're not separate from the community, we're part of the community. Help us protect you. Help us protect you. The men and women here, they did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job. And I commend them. But like the others have said, I would rather not have that job done well. I would rather have that job not done at all. Shay, you and your family need anything, you call me. You call me. Trenton Police Department and everyone here will be here for you and your family. Family members, friends of this family, people in this community. Call. Call before these tragedies happen. We can't do everything by ourselves, but we can get it done together. I always say that, and I believe that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I just think we need to take a minute again to acknowledge Officer Jose Ocasio, Officer Ellen Reesner, EMT Paul Haddad, and Captain Mosher to Mosher. What they did was heroic. What they did was above and beyond the call. And what they did gave Sequoia a fighting chance. Officers, we applaud you and we salute. Make no mistake, today isn't about Isaiah Roberts. Today is about Sequoia. And we want to leave you, we'll take some questions after, but we want to leave you with who Sequoia was, what her life was about. And I'd ask Shay to come up, if she'd like, to talk about Sequoia.
I really don't know how to explain greatness, but she was the embodiment of greatness. No, I can't. I'm facing myself up. She was a bright 9-year-old little girl. Like, she came into this world fighting. She left this world fighting. But she loved to live. She loved to make people laugh. She loved to make them smile. You had to love her. Like, that was her thing. Like, she's gonna make sure that once you leave her, you're gonna remember her for the rest of your life. And she did that. She did all of that. She was so smart. Like, once the programs in school started, like, she came home with every permission slip to be in the STEM program, to do cooking classes, to track and field, cheerleading, like, oh, my baby was about to be on top of the world. And now she can't be. Because of stupid Facebook stuff. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, she was cut down too short. She was awesome. And it's so difficult having to go to sleep and her room is right next to mine, and waking up knowing that she's not gonna knock on the door and tell me to get up so she can go to school. Like, she loves school. She loved being active. She loved going outside and playing with her friends. She loves skating and singing and making TikToks, like, and now all I have are memories. I can't make anymore. She can't do anymore. And that's not fair. That is not fair to me. It's not fair to her dad. It's not fair to her aunts and uncles and cousins, her big sister, or her big brother. It's not fair. It really isn't. I want to thank TPD, Detective, especially Detective Salmon. She helped bring this to a close. She put the last piece of the puzzle in place, and I just want to thank her so much for doing this. Detective Vega, Peterson, all you guys, thank you so much for everything that y'all done to make sure that my little girl was brought justice. I thank y'all so much. I can't, because I'm not break down if I don't want to. But thank all y'all, I appreciate it. This one,
We can take a few questions.
I just have a question about the investigation. You said you found the suspect entering the Delaware River. Can you elaborate? Was he's running into the river when he was fleeing?
When he was fleeing, he went into the wooded area off Route 129, really by the train tracks. And where he was located was if you came in that way, where the construction equipment was located, just down the road here. That's where he was.
And just,
No idea why he went into the Delaware River. They just found him. Maybe he thought he could swim to Pennsylvania.
and a question on a more personal note. I'm just looking at your faces, the tone of some of the speeches. It seems this is not just another case. This seems more personal. I don't know. Any one of you can answer this question. Why is this case so personal?
I think Attorney General Blackton said it best. We're fathers. We're grandparents.
She's 9.
A 9-year-old should be allowed to play outside. Shouldn't have to worry about getting shot.
She's 9.
And that's why it was personal.
It should be personal because she's young. She
Yes,
could've been
absolutely.
anybody's child.
It should be
It could've
personal
been
because she's
your
a
child.
baby.
Could have been your niece,
Like, it could have been his child,
Could've been
his grandbaby.
Anybody.
Like, anybody related to him. Absolutely is personal. That's not fair to that baby to lose her life like that at the age of 9.
She's innocent.
An innocent child playing outside and you get gunned down for no apparent reason. He just made me mad as hell. What kind of fucking question was that?
Any other questions?
Are there any other suspected shooters, suspects, gunmen you're
No.
looking for in this?
All of the shell casings that were recovered were in one area, and they were all the same caliber.
What did the dispute between the suspect and the other individual stem from?
It was a dispute over how one of the women was raising her children. They were called out on Facebook, and they called each other out to fight on the plaza.
Were the two women dating or in some sort of relationship with Roberts and another individual? Or
No.
what was their connection to Roberts and the other individual?
One of the individuals was Robert's sister.
Can the women that was out there fighting, can they be held accountable for anything? Since they started this senseless act?
Our focus from the beginning was trying to help bring closure to Shay and try to bring whoever killed Sequoia in here to face justice. We're not done yet. We're going back and looking.
Yes.
But number one priority was bringing her killer to justice. Yep, one more question? Anybody?
What direction was Roberts aiming? In other words, how did Sequoia get hit? Was he aiming at this other individual and Sequoia got hit?
Can I answer that? Can I answer that? Okay, so he was shooting near the basketball courts. Sequoia was in like the court area right near the basketball courts. So when he shot, she ran. And she ran the opposite direction. So she got hit. She was trying to hide behind other adults. And It didn't work out for her, obviously, so she got hit. So two shell cases were found in the basketball area, and then the others were found everywhere else. But those shell cases that was found near are the two, or one of the two bullets that she got hit with. So it wasn't like he wasn't aiming for her. She ran. She just ran the opposite way.
He was just shooting.
Running for cover.
The trajectory of the shooting, one bullet hit the criminal courthouse on the 3rd floor. So that would give you the direction. And she got in the line of fire. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks very much.
We getting at something with this?
No, he's about to be replacing his face.
Questions?